I sort of met somebody called, Matthew Dillon Cohen. He's a
Oh, of
director,
course. Yeah.
MDC,
Insane.
also from
Insane.
Jersey.
Yeah, yeah, insane.
He's Matt's like my best friend, and he got me into. We lived together in college, and he started making these little music videos for like whatever, $1,000, $1,500 for friends of his who were musicians. He was just a hustler, and like I guess in my mind at that point there had always been. This is before I got into film school. There'd always been sort of a gap between real filmmaking and what I was ever able to do with a little camera with my friends skating or whatever. Like I used to make these like skit videos in high school a little bit, and like it was just they felt so amateur, and so like the gulf between that and real filmmaking was just huge. And then I saw Matt like I don't know, just have the confidence to be like. Why not? I can make a real film. I can be responsible for somebody's thousands of dollars and get a red and shoot something on it.
Right.
And they started making stuff that like looked really good, and some of it had some real like creative. The stuff he used to make for my friend Gus Dapperton.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
which is all great. Like it had some really creative ways. It's good work. I still love those videos. But anyway, that was the stuff that I saw, and I was like, oh my god, kids our age can like, do this. And so then I decided that's what I wanted to do, switch into film school, which was at SVA.
Okay.
And I did that for 2 years. And then I graduated there. But by the time I was like in my last year, I was like, all respect to SVA and the professors and everything, I was checked out, dude. I was
you were
really
tapped
like,
out. Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, I don't.
Were you working simultaneously being in school?
I started a little bit, but same thing, sort of via Matt and via other friends who were like musicians and new musicians. I would shoot like little things here and there, or like my friend Luca Rapola, who isn't a filmmaker anymore, he would work with like some fashion brands and shoot little like content stuff. So like we would take a GH4 and like go shoot some content stuff at their office or whatever. So there were like little things here and there. I used to shoot events, Matt Projects.
I don't know Matt Projects. No.
Yeah, it's a production company agency
Okay.
here in New York. And I used to shoot events for them for a little while. So they would like give me their FS7 and I would go to like some fashion week party
Nice.
and do like a bunch of like shoot like celebrities and then like whip in, whip out. They love the transitions. But so I would do that for like $300 or something like that and then drop the shit back off at their office with the memory cards. So I started doing all that and then some real job while I was still in school. And then I started getting, a little bit more legit work and a little bit more legit work. And kind of goes from there.
Interesting. So you were doing like the shooting with your skating, but you're doing these small things as well. Did you understand at that point what like the role of a real cinematographer was?
I'm not sure I even understand now what the role of a real cinematographer is. It's a tough thing to define. I feel like I remember asking a friend of my dad's is a director, this dude Michael Dinner, and I met him once, and I remember when I was just starting to get interested in film, I was like, he's a director, and I was like, what's the difference between a director and a cinematographer? Like, what is the where's the line between their two jobs? And he couldn't even really articulate. He's like, well, it depends. Sometimes I shot list, sometimes they'll shot list if I'm working with the actor, and like, I just remember it always being kind of confusing. And I think now it's like, it really depends on the collaboration, who you're working with, where your job ends and their job starts. And some directors, like, I don't want to step on their toes, and they're much, they're looking for somebody who's just gonna, sort of help facilitate what they want to do. And that's perfectly valid. I think I'm not exactly that kind of DP. I'm a little more of try to be more of a partner for the director. And
Right.
you know,
What do you love most about your job as a DP, like now compared to when you started? Like, how has it changed as you've grown?
Dude, it's a really good question. I think, man, there's a lot of things I really like about it. It's really.
Personally, I think it's the best job in the entire world. That's I do. I love it so much. Like every time that I'm
Tell
working,
me what you love about it. What's the thing?
I think it's the collaboration of just one being with the director, but also just like working with crew, working with people that like one you're familiar with, you're comfortable with. You walk on set, you see the people that you like really like being around. You're smiling, you're having a good time. I tend to have this feeling of like an itch to solve things. So maybe I think the role of a DP helps in that because it's mostly problem solving, I think, most of the job. And I just it's like visualizing something in my head and like trying to get as close as I possibly can in real life to what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like a really satisfying feeling.
Yeah, dude, it's really satisfying and can be really frustrating when you can't. I feel like I've been in that position where I have this image and I'm sitting there and I'm tweaking all the lights and I'm putting fucking black wrap all over one of the lights and I'm like, why can't I get this to look the way that I fucking want it? So I think because it can be so, for me at least, because it can be so frustrating, when it does work, it's that much more rewarding, But I don't know, dude. I think that's all accurate. Really resonate with all that. I think I don't know. It's a little bit ineffable. I think it's like something that you're on set sometimes, and a shot works. There's some of that where like you're really nervous about a shot, and then it works, and it's like the best feeling ever. Or like the light is just hitting the actor's face the right way. Or like I've had things
Right.
where like I've lit a stand-in or just a PA, and then like the actor, or the model, or whoever comes in, and like they look. It's just they look so good, and like there's those moments where I'm like, oh my god, yes, this is like I don't know, but it's hard to articulate. It's
I
just like
agree
it's like a little like yeah, like a butterfly in your stomach or something that like I get
completely.
every once in a while. And it's not always that like, or sometimes I'll see an edit. Sometimes I'll like we'll shoot something. I'll be like, oh, I'll feel whatever, good about it, pretty good about it, but not. And then I'll get an edit back from a director. I remember like walking on the street and getting an edit from my friend Matt Vay Fix, who's a director I worked with, of something I was sure was going to be shit. And he sent me in, and I was watching it on my phone, and I stopped on the street, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! Like we actually know what we're doing." So I don't
How
know.
often
It
is
comes in
that?
all
How
different.
often do you find like you shoot a project and the edit and color or whatever is actually good compared to it not being good? Because I feel like I'm at the stage in my career where maybe more than half is like, this is questionable. I thought it was going to be better.
Yeah. That's a really good question. I know, and I know that feeling too, dude. It's really frustrating. That's one of the things that is tricky about being a DP, I think, is that you're so invested. Sometimes a blessing that you don't have to like, you get to
Right.
just walk away from set and be like, all right, until the color grade, like I can move on. But like sometimes yeah, it's really frustrating that, you think you've got all this amazing footage, and then you hand it off, and they go away for a little bit, and you get an edit back, and you're like, oh, this is
Right.
there's a for me at least, sometimes I think there was something better in here, and
I
we didn't really
completely
get to that,
agree. Mm,
and sometimes and that's not always, there's a lot of different voices involved. Obviously there's with commercials, especially music
mhm.
videos, there's a label. Commercials, there's an agency, and a client, of course, and all that stuff. So there's many different factors at play, and that, maybe that's one of the most amazing things about it too. I've done a couple projects that like it's like alchemy, there's you
Mm,
can go into every project, and the feeling of like understanding that some of whether this is going to be good or not is out of my hands. I can go into
sure.
everything with the best intention, but surrendering to that, not trying
Mhm.
to like keep your claws around it, but almost just like letting yourself sort of bob with the tide of that a little bit. Like I feel like I've done projects that we thought, we're like, this is the one. This is going to be our opus. Me and like the rubber band guys, Simon and Jason, who I work with all the time,
Mhm.
and I love to death. And but we've gone in together collectively. We've gone into some projects being like, this is going to be the one. And then for whatever reason, I don't know. Sometimes it's the talent. Sometimes somebody's late. Sometimes it's the weather fucks us. Sometimes it's
Mm,
there's a million different things they're just frankly out of your hands, and like and so sometimes they don't turn out great. And there are other times when like I did this James Blake video that is still one of my favorite things I've done, and like we
mm.
had not nearly enough time, and the celebrities schedules was so fucked, and like the location was kind of fucked up, and it shouldn't have been good, but I don't know, God smiled upon us, or the stars aligned in the right way, and like it's amazing, it's so good. But like, you know what I'm saying? And it's, again, just the recognition that like some of it is just up to the universe, and like,
Mm.
you could come into everything with the best intentions possible, but you do at a certain point have to kind of surrender, and
I
like
love it.
let
Yeah,
go a little bit,
absolutely.
and let it, see if it works or not.
Right.